Guess what? I had a birthday last week. Yeah, big deal. I know birthdays are only celebrations each year. You know how that is. But it just makes me think each and every year when I do have a birthday celebration about the Lord in the issue. The Lord saved me and sanctified me and so forth. And anyways, I think back about those times, and it was way back in. I had some problems a long time ago. When I was 5 years old, I was playing around and so forth, and got jarred a little bit or something or other, and it just seemed like my spirit left my body. I never heard of that happening before, but the spirit left my body, and seemed like I was crying off in a distance. Just waterfalls was running down over my eyes. From that point on, 5 years old, I just couldn't feel a strong love anymore. Not from my parents, my sisters, or brothers. I just didn't have the ability to find strong love. And then a while later, I started having another problem too, to where once in a while I might be talking with someone, my mind would go blank, and they'd look at me kind of funny, and I'd say, yeah, They don't know what's going on with me. I didn't know what's going on myself, and they'd just leave then. And as time went by, I just seemed to be getting stronger, these blank feelings in my mind, and I went to the hospital, had a brain scan. Some wise joker says, well, no wonder the doctor told you didn't have a brain. No, he didn't tell me that. He just said he couldn't find anything wrong. I could have choked him. But anyway, time went by and so forth, and years later, my mother knew I wasn't a Christian, of course, and Christmas time, 1993, she gave me a Bible. I did remember my mother too. Before that, when we were children, she would read the Bible and pray with us every day, but that never got to me. I had these issues where I just didn't have love for anybody and so forth. But like I said, back in 1993, Christmas time, she gave me a Bible, opened the cover. Inside the cover, the first page, she had written, David, this is God's plan of salvation. I said, well, thank you. I just trying to be polite with her, and then a few months later, things started getting to me a little bit. I started thinking about that Bible. So I worked day turn at the time, and I started getting up a half hour earlier every morning, reading a chapter in the Bible. What's going on here? I just seemed like God was dealing with me or something. And I'd go to work. There were a few other Christians there, and once in a while I'd start hanging around with them a little bit, just talk to them a little bit, and I think they got the idea that perhaps I was under conviction a little bit. They started talking to me. And it was quite some time later, during the year, this is 1994, that God was dealing with me so strong, the people at work talking to me about the Lord, that I just got so miserable and so forth. And one of the fellows, even back in an area close to where I work, he came up and gave me a gospel tract. Here I am hiding between two press lines. My eyes were just watering like crazy reading the gospel tract, and it just seemed like I couldn't take it anymore. And I was thinking, well, maybe if I start going to church, maybe things will ease up, I'll be okay, and just be able to relax more. So I was thinking, of all the fellows and one lady who I worked with, where do they go to church? It just happened that one of them went to Grace Nazarene Church over near Austintown. So I decided to start going to church there. And first Sunday, the altar call. Oh man, I felt so shook. I just had my hands on the pews, just squeezing. You'd think I'd left fingerprints on it. I just so uptight and nervous. And I just wouldn't budge. Every service that there was the next 3 weeks, Wednesday nights, whatever it was, I would go to church. Sunday mornings, Sunday nights. Second Sunday, same thing. Third Sunday, the same thing. Then the following Tuesday, I went to the classroom to help out, see what all they needed in it. It was a pretty dirty place. They wanted to clean it up and so forth and make a good classroom out of it. And as to who turned up was one fellow turned up, myself, and assistant pastor, Pastor Glenn Gogler. The three of us were in there cleaning up the classroom, and after a while the other fellow had to go home. That left Pastor Glenn and me. So Pastor Glenn starts talking to me. Here I am, miserable as could be, and he's saying, Dave, I know that you're having some problems, that perhaps you don't love the Lord or something, and would you like to give your heart to the Lord? And I says, and I just yammered around and so forth. He says, well, at least let me pray for you. He put his hand on my shoulder, and he started praying for me. Oh, I felt so out of it. I almost fell face first down in that dirt. But I just stayed up. I just wouldn't give in. Well, Wednesday I went to work. One of the fellows at work, not too far from where I was, he gives me a gospel tract. Oh boy, I'm nervous enough as it is. I hid behind two punch presses, tears running down my face reading this gospel tract. What am I going to do? I'm so miserable. The next day I went to one of the people, Christians that worked in the factory, the press room. There was a lady. I asked her, if you would pray with me, if I decide to give my heart to the Lord today, would you pray with me? She says, I sure would. Just like that, I turned around and walked away. Friday night came around and got a phone call. Here was Pastor Glenn. He says, hey Dave, tomorrow morning we're having a fellowship meeting, a men's fellowship meeting in the hall. Would you like to come out and join in with us? Well, I says to him, I don't know. He says, I'll give it some thought. I might come out. So we hung up. After we hung up, I got to thinking, here the last 3 Sundays, I'm going to church, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, Tuesday the classroom, odds and end things. Tomorrow is the only day I'm going to have off. So I don't think I will. But Saturday morning came, I decided to go out and join in with the guys. The pastor read the Bible and led the service for us, and somebody prayed for us to go home. They started getting up out of the chairs to leave, and I was so nervous. I said, wait a minute, guys. I can't wait another day. I can't wait another hour. Can't wait another minute. I got to give my heart to the Lord right now. This is on a Saturday morning. So they gathered around me, prayed. I prayed, asked God to come into my heart. And I didn't feel any different. I went home, walked walked in the back door. Mary Ann says to me, what happened? You look different. I said, what do you mean what happened? She says, you look different. I was sure nobody from the church called her. So I didn't know. Anyway, I didn't feel a bit different. And she walked in her living room and I sat at the kitchen table just thinking about what had transpired, or I just gave my heart to the Lord. I didn't feel a bit different. Then all of a sudden, this feeling came down over my head. Just a tingling feeling like entered me, just went down both sides of my body to my hips, stopped, then reversed itself and left me completely. All of a sudden I felt so much joy and peace and happiness and love like you wouldn't believe. I didn't know what love was like until that moment. I know the Lord saved me through and through. It had to be in the Holy Spirit working with me. A few months later, I can never recall exactly how long it was now, some time ago, there was a fellow by the name of Pete. He had a lot of drinking problems. A lot of people didn't have anything to do with him. The company had even fired him not long before that. And somebody went on his behalf to the office and asked if they would bring Pete back, give him another chance, which they did. And I really hadn't had a chance to talk to Pete or anything. But one day I was watching him back there. He really looked miserable while he was working. So I walked back to him. I said, what's wrong, Pete? He says, my drinking problem. He says, the company fired me one time. They let me come back. Last night I had a few drinks. You could smell it on me. I'm afraid if they notice it, they're going to fire me for sure, forever. And I said, well, Pete, I know God can help you through these problems. The Lord helped me. He saved my soul. He forgave me from my sins. I'll be praying for you, Pete. I start walking away. I not stop. I turn around and walk back at Pete. I says, would you like to pray and ask God to come into your heart right now? He says, I sure would. So we prayed together. Different people around the area, they could see what's going on. We didn't care. We prayed together. He accepted Christ as a Savior right there in the factory. Then not long after that, this had nothing to do with his drinking or anything like that. He got sick, some kind of an ailment, where he had to get off work for a period of time. He was off a month or so. Then the doctor released him to come back to work. So he parks in the parking lot, comes back up, took a shortcut through the lunchroom to head for the office to give the office personnel the letter saying that the doctor's releasing him, come back to work. And I happened to be in a lunchroom. A whole bunch of us were taking our break. So he saw me. He came over right out loud, a big smile on his face. He says, Dave, he says, yesterday at church, I went up to the altar. He says, I wasn't feeling quite right. I knew I needed to get closer to the Lord. I went up to the altar and prayed, asking God to come into my heart for real. I prayed and prayed. I wasn't satisfied. So last night, I went back to the altar again. The Lord saved me, and I feel so great. Well, that was just about it for a little while, except Pete, every chance he had walking around the plant, different people he had a chance to talk to, he would mention about how the Lord saved him, how he loved the Lord. One day I went to work. Somebody says, do you happen to hear what happened to Pete last night? No, what? He was killed in an accident. Oh my. What had happened was he lived out near 422, near the Pennsylvania-Ohio line, and a semi went past, and he crossed the street to get to his home, and stepped out right in the path of a pickup truck, was killed instantly. so many times since then I prayed and think, oh, thank you, dear Lord, for being able to see Pete just give his heart to the Lord and live for you like this. We thank you so much for being able to use me in this sense. I'm just so grateful.